Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD. Thanks for joining me again today. As always, my mission is to bring the intuitive spirit back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that we can access deeper healing and experience more peace, love, and joy in our everyday lives. I am so proud of all of you for showing up, and I've been hearing stories from people as they trickle in, or as they come into my practice, or as I see you out in the community. And I have to say that every single one of these stories warms my heart. And someone was telling me the other day that they watched the last podcast episode, and this was on how to feel alive. And I did an awareness meditation in that episode to help people feel the energy flow through them. It had to do with the palms and then using our consciousness. And she said that she did the exercise from the video and was able to feel the energy flowing through her. And I'm always so proud of everyone when they are able to, when they even just may have the courage to try to attempt to see what they can feel, to see what they notice, to have the courage to do something they've never done before, especially when it benefits you and it helps your health and it helps humanity. So whether you do it through my book, through these videos, this is all here for you. And the more that we go inwards, get to know ourselves, help ourselves, then the more we can be that light and that love and that beacon for other people and spread it throughout humanity. And so that is the purpose of these videos, is for each of us to be able to take those little steps. And cumulatively, these little steps, they can create something miraculous. Those small steps done consistently create miraculous results. And today, we're going to dive into a deep philosophical conversation again. And this has to do with Ubuntu. But we're going to do this in a practical way, because that's always my intention, to to explore the depths, but to also make it tangible, to make it practical. So we're going to talk about Ubuntu, the philosophy of Ubuntu, and I'm going to read you a passage from my book. We're going to talk about humanity, and we're going to talk about this universal responsibility that we have. And at the end, I'm going to go through a pink sphere meditation that you can do anytime for yourself before you have any particular challenges, or if you have to have a difficult conversation, or to use as a regular maintenance to help yourself rejuvenate. So that will be at the end. So first, I'm going to read you this passage. This is from my book, I Am Intuitive, a multidimensional guide to embrace your inner light. And this is towards the end of the book. It's on pages 169 to 170. And this is about Ubuntu, the essence of being human. So it starts with talking about Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And I say, I'd like to share this transcript of a moving talk I came across on a video from Archbishop Desmond Tutu, explaining the philosophy of Ubuntu. And he says, let me tell you, we have something in our African community, something that is difficult to put into English. It's called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the essence of being human. And it says, a solitary human being is a contradiction in terms. I can't be a human being on my lonesome. I wouldn't know how to speak as a human being. I wouldn't know how to think as a human being. I wouldn't know how to walk as a human being. I have to learn from other human beings how to be human. And so Ubuntu says, my humanity is bound to yours. I'm only because you are. And we will then see a person is a person through other persons, and that we need this communal harmony if we're going to survive at all. And anger and revenge and bitterness are corrosive of this harmony. And you know it. You experience it when you're angry at somebody. It does something to your tum-tum, and it does something to your blood pressure. So forgiving is not actually being altruistic. You're not being nice to the other guy when you forgive. You're actually being nice to yourself. And that's the end of that passage that he was talking about. And then this continues in my book. I was talking to a friend once about a situation with loved ones that involved misunderstandings and hurts on all sides. We had different opinions and all felt judged by one another. My friend asked me, "What would it take for you to heal from this?" I paused and let the question sink in. "Do nothing," I answered, "and accept their hurts, and my hurts too, because we are no more and no less worthy of love, regardless of what we feel or have been through. Everything is love or a call for love." Literally, the moment I said that, I received an intuitive message and the issue I was concerned about dissolved. Once I could see and again feel that we are all part of the oneness, the problem dissipated. A small miracle. Stepping back to get a grander perspective, I saw there was never a really problem in the first place. Love is our true nature. The soul knows this truth. It's a matter of remembering this over and over and over again. So I can explain a little bit more about that situation. This happens with, this is life, and then things will happen and disagreements will occur. And so I had done this exercise that I've shown you before. I just take the problem into my palm and then I release it. This is a symbol. So anytime you make a symbol of something and then do act on it like physically, it helps to emphasize it. It helps to help it manifest more into our regular reality. So I'd taken the issue and I was like, I listened. I really felt what my friend said to me. What would it take for you to feel at peace with this? And it was to do nothing, to realize that we are all allowed to be here. We are all allowed to feel how we feel. And so I took that and allowing myself to feel, allowing all sides to feel. And then I released it like this, opening my palm to the universal oneness, to let something bigger than me help take care of that. And then letting myself sink into that as that universal like free fall that I've talked about before, just allowing yourself to feel that trust that is so deep that you allow yourself to just relax into it. So you're not holding on to all this stress and the tension, and knowing that if you, as you do that, you release it, that it's not being passive. It's so that you know what steps to take, and relaxing into that. I realized that all was well. There was nothing more to do, and could feel at peace with it. So this is something that you can do anytime, and it's a beautiful practice. So as I was talking about exploring Ubuntu and just thinking about this concept again and talking to other people about, because there's so much going on in the world and it's very confusing and chaotic, and there's so much that's been brought up that sometimes you might feel like, what is the point to all of this? What are we doing here? Okay, so I like to look at concepts and terms to be able to understand them better, because it helps me see how we think as a human race, as our humanity, and it helps me have a bigger picture of things. So I just looked up on Google, like, what is humanity, and it came up with this definition from Oxford Dictionary. So there's 3 definitions that were given. The first is, humanity is the human race. It's human beings collectively. And then they had examples of how these definitions were used in a sentence. So, for example, if you're talking about the human race and human beings collectively, then you could use it in the sentence, appalling crimes against humanity. Okay, the second definition is humaneness, benevolence. Benevolence, that means kindness. And that's the fact or condition of being human, human nature. So it can be used like this. Music is the universal language with which we can express our common humanity. Humaneness, benevolence. This is part of humanity. This is part of our natural being, our natural state of being. Okay, so the third definition is learning or literature concerned with human culture, especially literature, history, art, music, and philosophy. So interesting, the humanities. And then I saw this quote on, it must have been on Instagram or something, and this was by Joel Utley, and he was talking about careers, and this was from the Career Archives. He was talking about the importance of the arts and humanities, and he said, "They tell you that the arts and humanities aren't practical, and then read poetry at funerals and weddings, cry over films, and search for meaning in ancient philosophy. Surviving is one type of practicality. Knowing why we bother is another." Isn't that beautiful? Because it helps you feel the dimensions of our being, the dimensions of our soul. And although, like, my intention is to be practical, it's to make these depths of our soul more practical so that we can bring them into our everyday life, so that we can help use this as inspiration to move us, to help us flow through life. It has to be practical in order to let it flow. So, but if you think about it, it is a different kind of practicality, and we can have all types, that's okay. But to be able to live in this world right now where there's so much going on, then we have to back up and understanding humanity and the humanities, those different definitions of humanity, it can help us understand, like, why we're here and what our roles are, what our being is for, what is our purpose. And their purpose is that we have this universal responsibility. Okay, and if you wanna know, why am I talking about this today and why am I thinking about this today, besides, if you haven't noticed, like, all the things going on in the world, um, I did have, like, a situation when I was flying back from a family vacation in Aruba, and just like many other planes, we had to be grounded because there were lightning storms in the Atlanta area during the time that we were supposed to land. So that's okay. We got delayed, but there was a particular family on the plane that that was not acting, I guess, with that second definition of humanity, benevolence. And so they were very loud, and they were just in the row behind. And so to be that close to people that are being very loud and intense with an idea of how things are that's very different than your idea. Okay. Their experience is different. And so this man was yelling, like, "Take us back home, fly us back home, or let us off the plane." And then a man just a couple rows in front, so in the row above in front of me, said, "Well, listen, there's about 150 of us here in the same circumstance." Like, just trying to, like, help him, like, calm down. And he said it very quietly, so only um, so that only the other man could hear, or just that small vicinity around us. Versus this other man was, like, yelling. And then this man, which shocked me, he yelled back, "I don't care about what other people do. I only care what I do." And that was really shocking to me because I had had to hear it right in front of you. I know you can see it on videos, you can see it on the internet, you can see it on the news, but to see someone right in front of you literally say, "I don't care about all of you, I only care about me," um, it's a very intense situation. Unfortunately, most of the people on the plane were much more reasonable. There was, like, this collective gasp on the plane because you can't believe that you're seeing somebody act like this. And then I just started thinking about humanity. I was like, "What is this? Is this like the book Lord of the Flies, where humanity is just like, so humans are just chaotic beings, and if left to their own wills, that they're just going to devolve like that?" But on the other side, the other part of me that works with trauma and individuals and like helping people like heal from trauma, of course, I knew that some part of this person was hurt and they had been through their own traumatic situations, and I was witnessing trauma patterns. And it's not an excuse. Like I tell people, it's never an excuse, but it is an understanding. So we have these different parts of ourselves that can be responding or like feeling during a situation. And so I felt all of these feelings at the same time. And some of them are going to be like contradictory, because it's like you can still feel compassionate for somebody that is not behaving well, but you're not going to excuse their behavior. And you can also feel like shocked by it and feel stressed by it at the same time. So, anyway, I started thinking about just our universal responsibility, because at the heart of every organization, every community, every person, we each have this divine responsibility and purpose to love and take care of ourselves, to take care of other beings, other people, and our earth home. So, this is our humanity. And this universal responsibility cannot hide behind other terms, or politics or misuse of terms or power, because when we start to, like, say, if we just toss something up and explain, it's like, well, this is politics. It's not really, it's a misuse of power. It is, and so we don't want to distance ourselves from our humanity by trying to hide behind certain terms. And that's why I keep coming back to Ubuntu, to humanity, to this collective consciousness and the universal responsibility. And we need to remind ourselves of that. And it all starts from within. It's why it's important to have a purpose, because using power without a more divine purpose, a deep why of remembering our humanity, will create more chaos. It will disconnect humans from their souls. And so they're not functioning as a whole human being. They're functioning more as these trauma patterns that, like a robot that has gone awry with its programming. And we need to be aware of our purpose and make sure that it's aligned with a more divine purpose, a higher purpose. And so being aware of our humanity helps us with that. And if we think about, so bringing this back to what does this mean about health? Humanity is like one ginormous being. The parts might not get along, but for true health, there needs to be some harmony. So if we were to act as if we are part of one being, then we would express more health. We would live with more peace and more joy. When we don't express, when we aren't acting, thinking, feeling as we're part of this one big being, that we are all part of this oneness. The collective humanity is like one big being. When we do not act like that and we think that we're separate from that, then that expresses dis-ease or disease as collective humanity, which can be felt through each part. So whether those parts are bigger parts like organizations, communities, down to individuals, individual people, or even to our very cells. Because if you think about our cells, each of our cells is like a mini universe. And Edgar Casey talks about this. Each of the atoms that builds our cells is like a mini universe. If we were to look at the nucleus of an atom and then how the electrons like are rotating around it, these are like mini universes, and how many of them that we have in our one being, our one human being. And so we don't want our cells and atoms to be at odds with one another. We know what that feels like, and it feels like dis-ease. So the same with humanity. We don't want different parts of the collective humanity being, the big humanity being, to be like that, fighting with each other, because it creates disharmony and dis-ease on our earth home and within this giant humanity being. And so I promised you that we would end with a pink sphere meditation, because we need to return to things that are practical, like what do we do? How are we going to move forward? How are we going to even address it? And so I bring you these bite-sized pieces that you can implement readily into your lives. This pink sphere meditation, again, is something that you can use before having a challenging interaction or difficult conversation, um, before you have to do something that is, maybe more stressful for you. And it can also be used to just rejuvenate yourself regularly so that you're not feeling this weight of everything that's going on in the world and this starts to weigh you down. Okay. So the pink sphere meditation has to do with a sphere. A sphere represents that universal oneness. So, how appropriate for a conversation. And then the color pink represents universal love. It represents love. And if you have like a rose quartz, if you feel the vibration of rose quartz or the energy of rose quartz, it can give you the idea of like, what is that frequency? What is that vibration of love? And it can help amplify that for you. And so you might want to, oh, this is morganite. This is also another one. It has many different colors to it. So this is similar to rose quartz, where it helps you amplify that feeling of love, frequency, and they feel slightly different, but they are both meant to enhance love, that feeling of love. Okay, so the first step is to imagine a sphere around you and let that sphere be this little beautiful light pink color, this heavenly light pink color. There are colors in the universe that we can't see with our regular vision. And so if you call into your extraordinary senses and your extra vision, then you can imagine it is this brilliant, sparkly light pink that we can't capture and we can't draw it in our ordinary 3D reality. So you're going to allow yourself to breathe in this beautiful pink light, this sparkling pink light. So with every breath, as you breathe in, you're breathing in this energy. And that light, that energy, that love fills your lungs. And as it does so, then it actually infuses each of the red blood cells, which is passing by through your lungs in a row, like one by one, in these little tiny capillaries. So right next to the lungs, as you breathe in, so that it can transfer air and expel carbon dioxide, but you can also transfer this light energy, this information, this love frequency as you breathe it in, and imagine it infusing each one of your little red blood cells as they're passing through the lungs and then goes back to the heart and then spreads to the rest of your body. So you're breathing in this pink light. And the first step is always with yourself. Now, if you are needing to have a conversation with somebody and you're nervous about it, or there's some difficult topics at hand, then you're going to take the next step. And now you're going to imagine a beautiful pink sphere around the other person. So they too can feel and breathe in this love. And it's not anything that's going to be forced. It's just imagining, it's this goodwill and it's compassion, benevolence for another person. And they will breathe that in. And they will have their sphere of that universal oneness. So that feeling of comfort and safety and oneness for themselves. And then the third step is to imagine a big sphere, a huge pink sphere. Now you're going to let it encompass both of you. If there's more than two people involved, that's okay. Just as big as you need it to be, so that you can feel that you're part of this giant humanity being. So you have these individual human beings, and you're also part, like the cells, like you're a cell. You have this sphere around you, like you're a cell. and you have a sphere around another person, and they're like another cell, and then you have this giant sphere around you. You're this giant being, and you're each a cell of that being. And so somehow through this symbolic meditation and reflection, then you can feel this oneness and come to some kind of harmony within and that peace within. So let's review it again and we'll go through it. So if you would imagine like a big, beautiful sphere around yourself, and let's take 3 breaths there for each step. So we're going to breathe in this beautiful pink light that represents love. That is love. You're literally breathing in love. Good. Take another breath. And one more breath at your pace, letting it infuse those little red blood cells passing through your lungs so that it's distributed throughout your whole body. And then you're going to imagine a beautiful sphere around another person. And I'm doing it too. So that they can also feel this love and this love consciousness, and that they can connect with their own soul. So you're connecting, you're a human being, not separate from a soul, and then the other person, you're asking that they can help connect more deeply with their soul, because it's infinite how the depth that we can get from it. Good, and allowing yourself to take a few breaths there if you haven't already. So you're breathing in your sphere, and you're allowing them to breathe in their sphere. Each connecting with your own souls. And then the third step, and I'm doing this with you, is to imagine this huge sphere around you and all spheres and the other person. So it's encompassing both of you, or more people if you need it to. And this represents this love that is surrounding all of humanity, the huge humanity being. That's all of us all together. And then breathing within that, your own love, soul consciousness, the other person's, and all of humanity. And this universal oneness that supports all of humanity. Knowing that just asking for this support, help, guidance from something bigger than us, from this love feeling, will help guide our every thought, our every word, our every move. And that is a great way to live and flow through the world and access health. I hope this helped you in some way. And please share it with anyone that you feel could benefit from it. You can always go back to the video, and later on we'll put the timestamps in, and you'll be able to click exactly to the meditation and give yourself the reminders as you need them. And I'm doing this constantly with myself. Like the story I told you, it was coaching my own self through the moment, and then even reflecting through it afterwards, to attending to any remnants of ripples that I felt through me, so that I don't have to carry that weight throughout my days. It's like we can process, and we can witness difficult things and then move through them, and practice with the smaller things. The little things, like someone didn't put something in the fridge the right way, or load the dishwasher in the right way, the little tiny things. Practice with that so that the hard moments become easier. And then as you build this humanity muscle, your love muscle, then you're going to be presented with more difficult moments. And that is okay, because you are meant to be a beacon of hope, light, and love, not only for yourself, but for all of humanity. and we're all in this together. So if it sounds like a big job, it is, because we are each individual cells doing this for our whole humanity being. So lots of love to all of you. If you would like to connect with me further, please do at Instagram, All World Health, on Facebook, All World's Health and Pediatrics. And you can always sign up for my e-love letter. I send it out once a week, usually on Wednesdays, most weeks. And you can do that for my website, allworldshealth.com. We have a few events coming up. And so please check out on the website, allworldshealth.com/events. We would love to see you at one of these in-person events. So lots of love to all of you. I believe in you, and I hope that you believe in you too. Take care.